Welcome to Have You Read It?, the channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Today we're diving into Underground Empire, How America Weaponized the World Economy by Henry Farrell and Abraham Newman. This book isn't your typical light beach read. It's a deep dive into how the United States has leveraged its position in global networks, finance, technology, and communications to exert power and influence on a global scale. Think of it less as conquering lands and more about controlling the pipes, the wires, the very infrastructure that makes the modern world tick. The authors use the analogy of an underground empire because this power operates largely unseen beneath the surface of everyday transactions. You might not realize it when you send an email, make an online purchase, or transfer money, but these actions often involve networks centered in the U.S., giving American authorities unprecedented access and control. The story begins long before Snowden's revelations. It starts with figures like Walter Wriston, a powerful banker who envisioned a world where technology and free markets would dismantle traditional state power. Ironically, the networks Wriston and others helped build, like the Eurodollar market and the SWIFT messaging system, actually concentrated power, making the global financial system increasingly dependent on U.S. banks and institutions. This dependence wasn't necessarily a bad thing at first, but after 9/11 everything changed. Suddenly, the ability to track financial flows and communications became paramount to national security. The U.S. government, particularly the NSA and the Treasury Department, realized the potential of these networks not just for tracking terrorists, but for projecting power in entirely new ways. Let's talk about the Storm Brew map. This leaked NSA document isn't just a map of cables. It's a blueprint of American surveillance power. It highlights how the U.S. can monitor global communications because so much internet traffic passes through American servers and cable landing sites. Even a seemingly local email between two foreign entities might get routed through U.S. territory, making it susceptible to American surveillance. This surveillance capacity isn't limited to communications. The Treasury Department, initially focused on disrupting terrorist financing, discovered the power of the dollar clearing system. Because most international transactions are conducted in U.S. dollars, they must be processed by American banks, giving the Treasury leverage to impose sanctions and cut off entities from the global financial system. The book illustrates this power through several examples. One striking case is the Banco Delta Asia incident, where the U.S. designated a small bank in Macau for handling North Korean funds. This action sent shockwaves through the global financial system, demonstrating the U.S.'s ability to isolate even a moderately sized country from the global economy. This power was then deployed against Iran. The U.S. progressively cut off Iranian banks from dollar clearing, crippling its economy and forcing it to negotiate over its nuclear program. Even after the Iran nuclear deal was struck, the fear of renewed U.S. sanctions made it difficult for European businesses to re-engage with Iran, demonstrating the lasting impact of this financial weapon. The story then shifts to Huawei, a Chinese tech giant that became a central target of U.S. action. The U.S. government feared that Huawei's dominance in telecommunications equipment, especially its involvement in building 5G networks, could give China similar surveillance and control capabilities. The U.S. campaign against Huawei wasn't just about trade, it was about preventing China from building its own version of an underground empire. Meng Wanzhou's arrest, the CFO of Huawei, wasn't just a simple case of bank fraud. It was a key part of this larger geopolitical struggle. The U.S. leveraged its control over HSBC, Huawei's bank, to obtain information that led to Meng's arrest, showcasing the interconnectedness of financial power and geopolitical maneuvering. Beyond finance, the U.S. also weaponized intellectual property. By controlling key aspects of semiconductor design and manufacturing technology, the U.S. could restrict Huawei's access to essential components, effectively crippling its smartphone and 5G businesses. This move highlighted the strategic importance of controlling not just the physical infrastructure, but also the intangible knowledge embedded in global supply chains. The book also explores how other powers are responding to America's underground empire. Europe, initially complacent about its dependence on the US, began to realize the risks after Trump's erratic policies, including withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal. The EU started talking about strategic autonomy, exploring ways to reduce its vulnerability to US financial and technological power. Russia, facing its own set of sanctions, has sought to build financial ties outside of the US-dominated system. China, acutely aware of its financial vulnerabilities, has tried to internationalize its currency and build alternative payment systems, but with limited success. Both countries are finding it difficult to create viable alternatives to the deeply entrenched US-led system. The book isn't just about states. It also explores the dilemmas faced by businesses caught in the crossfire. Companies like Microsoft, initially reluctant to challenge the US government, eventually realized the need to protect their global business interests. Microsoft's push for a digital Geneva Convention highlights the challenges of maintaining neutrality in a world where governments are increasingly weaponizing economic networks. Even the world of cryptocurrency, initially envisioned as a libertarian escape from government control, hasn't remained untouched. The US government's actions against Tornado Cash, a cryptocurrency mixer, demonstrate that even decentralized systems can be vulnerable to government intervention when they intersect with the traditional financial system. Finally, the book concludes with a call for a more strategic approach to managing economic interdependence. The authors argue that the current dynamic of escalating economic warfare is dangerous and unsustainable. They draw parallels to the Cold War, suggesting the need for new institutions and dialogues to mitigate the risks of conflict in an interconnected world. Just as the US and the Soviet Union eventually found ways to manage the risks of nuclear war, we need a similar framework for managing the risks of economic and technological conflict. The authors suggest redirecting the tools of the underground empire toward collective goals, like combating climate change and corruption. They propose a shift from an empire of coercion to a commonwealth of cooperation, where US power is used to promote global public goods. So, what's the main takeaway? The world economy isn't a flat, borderless playing field. It's a complex network of interconnected systems, and the US has mastered the art of leveraging its central position in these networks to exert power. This power has had both positive and negative consequences, and the future depends on whether the US can use its influence responsibly, building a more stable and cooperative global order, or whether escalating economic warfare will lead to fragmentation and conflict. Plumbing is political. The seemingly mundane infrastructure of the global economy is a key source of power. Choke points, control over key nodes in financial, technological, and communication networks, gives the US significant leverage. Weaponized interdependence. Global interconnectedness can be used as a weapon, not just a source of efficiency. The spiral. Escalating economic warfare can have unintended and dangerous consequences. From empire to commonwealth, US power can be used to build a more cooperative global order, not just to enforce its own interests. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.